When my husband passed away, the house fell silent in a way that felt almost alive. The ticking clock on the mantel, the rustle of the curtains, even the creak of the old oak floors. Everything seemed to breathe his absence. He was gone, but his presence lingered in every shadow, every scent, every sigh of the wind that passed through our home. 2 days after the funeral, the lawyer came. He handed me a small cream-colored envelope sealed with wax. My husband's initials pressed deep into the red. No money, no instructions about property or assets, just this one letter. Inside, there was a single sentence written in his careful hand. Find the red box. That was all. No signature, no explanation. Just that haunting, curious line. For hours, I sat at the kitchen table staring at it. The ink slightly smudged, as if his trembling fingers had hesitated before sealing it away. What red box? Where? Why? As night fell, I couldn't stop thinking. If this was the only thing he left me, it had to mean something. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't over yet. The next morning, I began to search. Every drawer, every shelf, every forgotten corner of our home. The attic, the basement, the closet beneath the stairs. It was strange how grief sharpens your senses, how the smell of his shirts could bring tears, how the dust on his books made me ache. I found things I had forgotten existed. His old pipe, a box of photographs, letters from our first year of marriage. But no red box. Then in the attic beneath a dusty quilt, my fingers brushed something hard and cold. A box, crimson red with a small brass lock. It was heavy. I lifted it carefully and carried it downstairs. For a long moment, I just stared at it, afraid to open it. My heart was pounding. Whatever was inside that box, it was what my husband wanted me to find. The lock was old but strong, no key in sight. I tried the usual places: drawers, jars, toolboxes, nothing. Then I remembered something. He had a diary, one he never let me read. He used to keep it on his bedside table, writing in it late at night when he thought I was asleep. I found it, tucked beneath a stack of his shirts. When I opened it, I could almost smell the faint scent of his cologne, a mix of cedar and smoke and thyme. Between the pages, something was taped behind a photo of our wedding day, a tiny golden key. I froze. He'd hidden it there, for me. He wanted me to find it. My hands trembled as I took it to the red box. The key turned smoothly as if it had been waiting all along. And when I opened it, I stopped breathing. Inside the box was a small cassette tape, a stack of old letters, and a single photograph of a woman I'd never seen before. The tape was labeled in his handwriting, "For Rose." My heart ached as I found an old recorder in the study. When I pressed play, his voice filled the room. "If you're listening to this, Rose, it means I'm gone. I didn't have the courage to tell you while I was alive, but there are things you deserve to know." His voice cracked, and for a moment, I thought I heard him breathing beside me again. "I wasn't the man you thought I was. Before we met, there were mistakes, promises I broke, lives I hurt." He paused, and then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You're not the only one who has my name." I didn't sleep that night. The woman in the photograph haunted me. She was young, beautiful, standing in front of a farmhouse I didn't recognize. Who was she? And what did he mean? Not the only one with my name. The next morning, I drove to the lawyer's office. I needed answers. He looked uneasy when I showed him the photo. After a long silence, he said quietly, "Mrs. Rose, your husband left another will, one I wasn't authorized to give you until now." He reached into his drawer and handed me another envelope. Inside was a folded piece of paper, handwritten again. If you wish to understand everything, go to Willow Creek Farm. Ask for Clara. The name felt heavy in my mouth. That's when I realized the woman in the photo wasn't just anyone. She was the other Mrs. Rose. The road to Willow Creek was long, winding, and strangely familiar. Fields of tall, dry grass swayed on both sides, whispering against the wind like voices I couldn't understand. The farmhouse appeared at the edge of the hill, pale, weathered, lonely. I parked near the old oak tree, my heart pounding like it had something to confess. Every step toward that front door felt heavier than the last. A woman answered the knock. Her eyes widened when she saw me, not in surprise, but in recognition. "You must be Rose," she said softly. "He told me you'd come." "Clara," the woman from the photograph. Her voice trembled with something that wasn't anger or jealousy. It was grief. The same grief that had been haunting me. We stood in silence for a long time. Two women who had loved the same man, bound by his lies and the truth he left behind. Inside the farmhouse, everything smelled of cedar and dust, just like home. There were pictures on the wall, some of him alone, others with Clara, and a little boy. He couldn't have, not after all these years. Clara motioned for me to sit. Her hands shook as she poured tea into chipped porcelain cups. "He used to come here every spring," she whispered. "Said he was traveling for work. Said one day he'd tell you." My throat tightened. The betrayal burned, but beneath it, something deeper stirred. A strange aching understanding. Clara reached for a small box on the table. Not red, but brown, tied with ribbon. "He left this for you," she said. "Said you'd know what to do with it." Inside were old letters, every one of them written to me, but never sent. Each began the same way. "My dearest Rose," and ended with words he was too afraid to speak while alive. That night I stayed in Clara's guest room. Sleep didn't come easily. I sat by the window reading his letters by candlelight. In them, he confessed everything. How he had met Clara years before me, how they had a child together, and how guilt had followed him into every corner of his life. He'd married me believing he could start over, but he never truly escaped the past. He wrote, "When I found out I was sick, I knew I couldn't take these secrets to the grave. I needed you to find the red box, and because inside it you'd find Clara's address and the truth that you both deserved." I cried until the candle burned out. I wasn't angry anymore. I was hollow. Because love, it turns out, doesn't disappear with the truth. It just changes shape. At dawn, I walked outside, and that's when I saw him. A boy, maybe 12 or 13, sitting under the oak tree. He had his father's eyes. He looked at me with quiet curiosity. "You're Mrs. Rose, aren't you?" he asked. My voice broke when I said yes. He smiled shyly and said, "Dad told me you were kind." Something inside me shattered and healed at the same time. This child wasn't a reminder of betrayal. He was what my husband had been too ashamed to face. His own legacy, his own blood. Clara joined us, her expression soft. We didn't need to speak. We both understood that love, in its truest form, is not ownership. It's forgiveness. Weeks later, after I returned home, I received one last letter in the mail. No return address, just my name written in that same familiar hand. Inside was a deed to Willow Creek Farm and a note that read, "For both of my roses, may you never fight over what was once broken. Build something new together." I sat at the kitchen table again, where this all began, holding the letter against my chest. Tears came, but they were different now. They weren't for loss or betrayal, but for peace. I realized that love isn't always honest and truth isn't always cruel. Sometimes they meet in the middle, in forgiveness. That night, as I lit a candle beside his photograph, I whispered, "I found the red box, love. And I found the rest of you, too." The flame flickered once, and for the first time in months, the house didn't feel empty anymore.